Good day, viewers. Welcome to PAU Insight, where we explore the minds of industry and thought leaders within and beyond the PAU community. Today with me is Mrs. Ezinne Olukoya. She's the guidance counselor in PAU, and she will just be giving us some nuggets of wisdom about navigating mental stress in these our economic times. We are all facing this economic hardship, and so how do we deal with such things? I am Nkem Agam, and I'll be the host for today. Okay, so let's delve right in. My first question would be about how we can sort of recognize certain things that help us to manage mental stress in this economic time. So what are the things that we can pinpoint that would help us to manage that mental stress?
I think to be able to know if you are stressed, normally stress is normal. We all need to go through one form of stress or the other to be able to reinvent or kind of discover ourselves, discover what our aspirations are, or even our desires, or what we want to accomplish. We need stress to be able to accomplish things, because stress makes us uncomfortable. And when we're uncomfortable, we start looking for a way to solve what the issue is. So, but to be able to know that the stress is becoming too much is to listen to your body, to do like a form of self-examination. You discover that maybe you're not sleeping well, or you have difficulty falling asleep, or sometimes you tend to talk to yourself, or maybe you are anxious, or you tend to panic over nothing, or you are kind of angry. So when you start noticing symptoms like that, it's possible that you are stressed, and you now need to look into how to reduce that stress, because like I said, stress is important. We need to have some form of stress, but it's when the stress is too much, when we are not able to cope with the stress, that's when we need to seek help.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And I mean, in seeking help, I'm guessing that we also, how you say look inwards. So how do you think that we can prioritize like self-care when we're trying to navigate these kinds of challenges?
Self-care is very important, but once you've identified what the issue is, like if it's lack of sleep, then you need to check, why am I not sleeping well? You need to check what is causing the lack of sleep, and maybe in the process you might discover what it is, and then you have to now prioritize that, and try to make sure that you either go to bed on time, at a fixed time, maybe reduce screen time, or also maybe exercise, and not worry so much about things, because at the end of the day, you can't solve all the problems that we have.
Okay, so I mean, in this self-care, I'm guessing that it also goes in line with like techniques for self-management. But are there any techniques that professionals and even families can use specifically to help to manage stress within their environment?
I think what we are talking about is economic hardship. So, and we all know that everybody is also going through the same thing. So it's to first realize that you are not alone in this, and also to know that there isn't much you can do to change things. So, and not to be too futuristic or overthink things that are happening right now. Because if you also look back, you see that it's not really the worst, the most difficult time in your life. If you actually look back, you see that you have also you've been able to overcome some things in the past. So to be able to get the help you need is by, like I said earlier on, examine yourself and know what it is that is causing it. And if you think you cannot do it alone, then you can talk to someone. These days there are online counselors. Hospitals are also, some hospitals, private hospitals and even government hospitals have counselors these days. So, and you could also talk to a friend, because it might even be something that doesn't require so much professionalism to overcome. So, yes.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I mean, it has been insightful. So, I mean, you mentioned that the economic times, everybody's going through it, and when everybody's going through the same thing. But in that reality, in that truth, how do we still try to, even if we are trying to, manage these challenges, how do we also still try to stay motivated and stay productive within these challenging times?
Yes, it's good to have like a goal, like what you intend to achieve. And maybe the economic situation is not allowing you to do that. So it's to just take it one day at a time. Because at the end of the day, when you look at everything, there are alternatives. You could have, maybe you have like a plan and it's not working out. You could also have like a plan B. Because it might be difficult to achieve a goal now, but once you are going steadily with it and not being overly futuristic and thinking that you will not get there, because at the end of the day, it's just to take it one day at a time. Because it's when you wake up in the morning that you decide, you will know that you have a future. I mean, for that day, you cannot jump the day. I cannot start thinking about what will happen tomorrow. You should first of all be concerned about what is happening today. Just live like, daily and not being unnecessarily futuristic, because that creates anxiety.
That's very awesome. Thank you so much. In all these things, what has always been reoccurring is how we're not alone, right? We're not alone. But how really do we foster supportive community in this? We can feel like we're not alone, but sometimes it feels like you're alone. So how do we foster a supportive community to address this mental health, mental stress collectively?
I don't know how that can be done, but what I know is that, we need to start reaching out. We need to start checking on one another, start asking people simple questions like, how are you? And being there to, being available to listen also, not just say, how are you, and move on. We need to be we need to look around. We should not be so self-consumed. And that's the way we can be able to foster like a community support, with each other here.
Okay. Yeah. So just looking at other people and looking out for other people.
Yes. Checking on other people. When you see people, and if you don't see them, ask after them instead of, believing that they are okay. That's the only way we can be able to have that communal support.
That makes sense. Thank you so much. And I was going to ask, all these things are fantastic, but, it will always also make sense to have it long term. So what kind of long-term strategies do we have to build that mental resilience?
Like I said earlier on, people these days frown at talking to a counselor or before you can even get to a psychiatrist, you need to be referred. So talking to a counselor. So it's just to overcome that,
The obstacle?
It's not obstacle. I've forgotten the word now. That idea of thinking that once you are talking to someone, it means that you are crazy or something like that. To be able to overcome that stigma, that thing of stigmatizing or looking at people as, that's why I love this generation, this Gen Zs. At least that they are not scared of telling you about their mental health. So if we can understand that anybody can be stressed. Anybody can have a mental health issue. In fact, we all have mental health issues. We are not owning up to it, but that doesn't mean that we don't. So, because sometimes a person may discover that he or she is not sleeping well, or he or she is not able to remember things. You are just talking and you lose the words that you want to use. It just means that something is going on there. But because you are functioning, maybe not optimally, then you think you are okay. So if we're able to overcome that thing of, I cannot talk to somebody, I don't need to, I can do it by myself, If we're able to overcome that, then you see that it will be easy and people will be able to develop the skills that they need to be able to function optimally.
Okay. So thank you so much, Mrs. Ezinne, for this very, very, very insightful conversation. I've learned so much. I think that really my mental stress is just relieving from talking to you. So, and I'm hoping that every other person, every other viewer that has listened in today has learned so much from this conversation. Thank you, Mrs. Ezinne, for this very insightful conversation. I've learned so much about mental stress and also how to navigate these challenging economic times. And I'm hoping that if we call on you another time, you would come and give us more wisdom on this.
Right. Thank you, it's my pleasure.
Yeah, I'm happy. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today on this episode of PAU Insight. I hope you've learned so much. I've learned a lot from this conversation. For more episodes and updates, don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms. Until then, goodbye.